So welcome back to Tech, Tesla, and Friends. In yesterday's video, we discussed the platforms that would come out or would become part of the X Corp and the Everything app. Now that the Twitter deal is complete, should be as of the posting of this video, we should be able to see and understand now a little bit more about where Elon is intending to go. I don't know how much he will announce initially, but obviously the first part of that is going to be the shedding of 75% of the dead weight that is there. When you consider that the average Twitter employee, not just their engineers, but the median cost for Twitter employees is about $240,000 a year, you realize that Twitter has an insanely overpriced workforce that is bringing very little to the game other than censorship. And this is as Elon culls the workforce on that, it's going to be a very telling story long term for the products that begin to roll forth. So, as teased yesterday, free speech is an obvious. Elon flat out told us when he announced that he was going to buy Twitter that it was about free speech, and that free speech is critical to an operating democracy or representative republic as exists within the United States and democracies around the world. One of the things that's important to recognize is that the Twitter user base is worldwide. This is not just an American tech company or an American tech app. It is something that is utilized around the world, even in war zones. And it is a particularly useful tool in that regard. The problem comes in when the social media environment or those companies engage in seeking to manipulate the overall outcome of conversations within societies. That is an unhealthy and unrealistic approach to what free speech is. Free speech enables the very thing you hate the most to be spoken by the person you despise the most. If that does not occur in your society, it is not free. Now, does that mean that everybody's listening to the words that are being spoken? Heck no. There are plenty of people that when they open their mouth, I turn off whatever it is. But the fact that they can open their mouth and speak it is important in any society where we live. This is a critical point, and Elon truly understands that. And this is one of the driving factors behind his purchase of Twitter. Along the other side of that, we already mentioned that citizen journalism component. It's important that we, individuals who are observing reality, now that's an important thing to wrap your brain around. We are observing the reality of what's occurring and reporting upon it through Twitter. As we do that, it's part of the news cycle. That is a component of truth being brought forward, of free speech, in that we are reporting what's happening. And contrary to what currently is the Twitter platform, the new platform is more than likely going to enable people to share what they are seeing, what they are hearing, and what they understand. That's not a bad thing. As you discover things that people share, and plenty of you know people that you don't trust what they're saying. So you're going to take whatever they say with a grain of sand. You're going to, that's just another politician speaking again. You're going to discount that because the majority of politicians, if their lips are moving, they're lying. That's a reality. Most of us understand that. Unfortunately, there are those that believe every word that comes out of some politicians' mouths. And that, to me, is truly a scary thought, that someone would even deign to have the belief that a politician has a desire to speak the truth, especially career politicians. Some of the newer ones that are running their first time, there is an idealism that exists there. They believe in the principles. And I truly believe that first-time politicians do have a desire to do good. It's usually that second term that they're corrupted, because all of the things they wanted to fight for are no longer in play. Usually they've fixed their main item. And so then they're open for lobbyists to come in and say, hey, what about this new thing? So citizen journalism is important there, because we all are able to see and report upon the things we hear and observe. That's important. As a user platform, it becomes the place or the repository of knowledge that we are sharing for one another to consume. Now, some of that ideologically we may not agree with, but it's still nonetheless available for us to discover, interact with, and comment upon. Perhaps debunk, perhaps find our facts are not quite what we thought they were. And to discover that perhaps the facts that we thought we had are actually propaganda. And that's an important opportunity for that community conversation that Twitter often talks about defending. And yet they are not. They are infringing upon that community conversation with their censorship platform. Now, the next item that I see or benefit from all of this is a much more unified branding tool. This X Corp Everything app gives you the ability to bring your personal brand, so in my case, the Tech, Tesla, and Trends, and integrate that into all of the level platforms and interweave that in a constructive fashion, which a natural point there would probably be some form of a merch platform or portal that interacts with some sort of a paywall. And that's going to be very, very important for content creators like myself. It's just one of those things. We love to comment on the world that we are observing. And this is part of how we are working on feeding our families and other things like that. So keeping that in mind, that's an aspect and a component that I see being very well received when it's rolled forth by the X Corp. Then, obviously, portal content, that's part of that payment wall. A worldwide comm network, a la SpaceX and T-Mobile, some form of an interaction there that's going to provide a better communication network. I'm not sure how that will interact, but I can pretty much, I anticipate that will be rolled out at some point in the not so distant future. The mere fact that Tesla and T-Mobile are interacting to build a reversed cell network in a way, in a sense, tells me that there is some rethinking occurring within this whole model of communication. And obviously, if we're all communicating and sharing ideas and broadcasting and posting videos and content, you're going to need a way to search. So yet again, another detail or platform that's going to interact and start to utilize another giant in the industry's perceived turf. So in this case, I think the X Corp is going to definitely start eating away at Google's lead in search, because let's face it, many of the people that Elon recruits are the best in the world, and they are interested in changing the world for the better. Right now, that isn't Google. Google no longer believes in first do no evil, or do no evil, as they brazenly said once 20 years ago. Now it appears in many ways they are the seed of evil at times, in how that is applied. Not necessarily that that's the intent, but the application occurs. And it's unfortunate because much of what Google has created has the potential to do a wonderful amount of good. And that is sort of the lost opportunity there. But perhaps with some competition coming in from the X Corp, it will motivate those that are within the alphabet to step up and reclaim their once vaunted position of virtue. That would be a wonderful thing, and it would definitely be something I would be glad to see. From a standpoint of the podcast portal, again, it's a natural opportunity, and I can see it coming. It makes sense. And then from the whole Amazon Audible interconnection there for the selling of free enterprise-minded, actually any form of published words and spoken words, I just see that as a natural extension of what Twitter is once it has an RSS capability and is a commerce platform. These are natural product extensions. But the biggest item, and the one that few are probably going to notice, but I do know that there was one fellow that did see it coming, and I don't know his first name, but he runs the Busy Brain Club, and it's a small channel, but well worth checking out. I'll link it in the comments there, or in the notes. But is AI training? Twitter, the conversations we have with ourselves, and one of the points that he made was that once you've eliminated those Twitter bots, and we all know they're there, once those are no longer an option, but you have verified human beings talking with verified human beings, they're an opportunity to learn about human beings in a format that is going to be useful for training the Tesla bot and its interaction with humanity. And I think this will be a very important contribution to AI overall. And it has the potential to greatly improve the world. So in this regard, it is yet again Elon thinking way ahead of everybody else and understanding that the algorithms are what matter. And he's been saying that, open source the algorithms. Well, that's from a free speech perspective, kind of important when you're trying to train AI to understand free speech and understand the conversation and speeches, or the speech that's occurring between humans. This is yet another one of those examples of that multidimensional chess that I shared in previous videos that Elon plays in and engages in as he's thinking through problems and the rest of the world. So looking at all of this, the X Corp and the products that X Corp is going to release to the world over the next decade, the world is going to be quite an interesting place. And I look forward to playing with the toys that X Corp is going to bring to us. For now, have a good night.